Okay, everybody, if we could start to find seats, we're going to get started here. I know, but it says 8 o'clock greet and seat, so I guess I'm greeting and seating everybody. So, yeah, Amanda may not be. I don't know that I've got 15 minutes worth of talk I can give, but I'm gonna. Exactly. I'm going to be up here for a few minutes. I want to everybody who's online and who watched yesterday, I want to say thank you. I'm not over there to moderate comments yet, but we had a whole bunch of comments that came through yesterday, and I was able to get a few of them up online. But even if I didn't get yours up, please know that I did see each and every comment that came through. I did notice them. I'm taking notice of them, and I'll keep track of them for next year. We're always trying to make AmCon better, and we will continue to strive to do that. There will be an AmCon 2022. Where that will be, I don't know. When that will be, it will be in the fall. AmCon is usually done the same weekend as Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's usually done, the Gun Rights Policy Conference is Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday. Usually AmCon is Friday. Well, this year, because we're doing AmCon live, Gun Rights Policy Conference was virtual only. We had the opportunity to do a Saturday, Sunday GRPC for no extra cost. We decided, hey, that sounds awesome. Let's take the extra time. We're going to be learning. Let's learn a little more. And because the opportunity, we took that to do this. And so you get Sunday at no additional charge, so to speak. That's why this year it's 2 days instead of one. Now that I have, you ever have one of those points where, God, if I could just have a microphone and have 15 minutes to say whatever I wanted to the people I think really should be listening to me. You get up here and you know what's going to come to your head? Absolutely nothing. I think I kind of shot what I wanted to say the other morning when I got up here and said, please don't ever quit. If I could say one thing, there are so many great people and so many fantastic shows that have come and gone, that some of the shows that were there, the people I consider mentors who got me started, who, if they were still broadcasting, I would be going to for advice still, have gone by the wayside. People who, because of my stroke, I cannot pull their names out to the front of my mind right now. But they're still out there. I still have some connection with them, but they've drifted away from podcasting, from broadcasting. And I wish they were still here. If you're in Second Amendment media, I can't say this strongly enough. I don't care if you've got 5 people that download your show. You're going to be missed if you stop. And if you stop, you're going to lose the opportunity. Something good will happen to you if you keep plugging long enough. Lord knows that I have been haphazardly doing this for 9 years. I'm not the greatest person out here. I just never quit. That is my only secret to success, is I kept hammering, I kept doing it. And when the opportunity opened up, I was there to stick my hand out and say, I'd love to try to do this. And it happened for me. If you keep trying, it's going to happen for you too. So, Amanda, I really think that I'm going to really, I took 3 minutes of my 15. I think I'm going to put it in your capable hands.
Yeah, well, I think I probably can fill. We'll see what happens. I set my alarm. So, there we go. Okay. We got a clock, we've got an alarm, we're all good to go. Okay. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to AmCon 2021. And remember that we are here to learn, right? That's the purpose of AmCon, is we're going to teach, we're going to learn, we're going to absorb, we're going to reflect. So I thought about what was I going to present in my 15 minutes about what are we here to learn, and what do I know that I think that I can share with the rest of the group. And there's some stuff that I think that we have to do and that we can learn from one another. So what's our mission? Each and every one of us. It's to do the very best that we can do, and then to grow that so that our audience gets bigger. And whether that is Second Amendment advocacy, whether that's an organization, whether that's a podcast or a radio show or a TV show or a website, it is to increase our reach and grow our audience and to see and be seen, because we believe that our message has value. Is that a correct assumption? Okay. So we need to learn how to expand, how to change the audience, how to get bigger and better. So we need to learn how to self-promote without looking like we're saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. So in the self-promotion, I have to say that we have somebody in the room that I think is amazing at it, in a cool, smooth, jazz sort of way. And that would be Rob Morris. As he looks up. No, Rob Morris, that is, I mean, you just listen to him, he's like smooth jazz sort of Rob, right? But Rob not only does his podcast, but he expanded his reach by adding other guests that were knowledgeable, that are involved, that have their own following, and that are in the industry. So when he does something, he then, I mean, think about it like it's the Olympic rings, and here's Rob, and he is the red ring, but he gets Candy Petticord to be there, and she's the yellow ring, right? So now all of a sudden, all the people in the red ring and all the people in the yellow ring know about Rob's show. And then when they're done, they talk about somebody who's the green ring that's coming up next week. So it's this cross promotion using the following that each and every one of the groups does. Then in addition to that, he writes an article and publishes the article so that it goes out and it gets a different group of people to see it and connect and do it. And one day I was reading Truth About Guns, and it pops up with an article, and it was like, you know, self-defense is a human right, and follow this story. So I was like, I'm interested in self-defense as a human right, so let me read the story. And I realized that I was the guest host, that I had talked about that story already, but I didn't know about the clickbait title. And I saw it on Truth About Guns, who got it from AmmoLand, who got it from Rob, who got it from, right? I mean, so it had woven through the Second Amendment, the whole Second Amendment path. That's self-promotion in a way to where he's promoting what he's doing, and he's getting different people interested in it. So we need to learn how to do that from people like Rob. Learn how to do that to where if you're in this platform, how do you step into a different platform just enough to do a teaser to draw it back to your platform, whatever that is, so that we learn how to self-promote. We need to learn how, so back to the self-promotion. One of the good ways to self-promote is to be a guest on other people's shows. Because then you're cross-promoting your show to them, their show to you. So you need to learn how to do that. You need to learn how to pitch that. You need to learn how to be involved in that. And you need to learn how to be a good guest while you're doing that. So as you're going to be a good guest, you need to learn how to be entertaining. So Charlie Cook is a perfect example of learning how to be entertaining. So he comes, he's got content, and then he's got humor. So he ties his content to humor to where the audience really enjoys kind of listening to those pieces. And when you walk away, it's like, well, actually, we were talking about the last AmCon that we did in person, and Rob Campbell says, well, the two best presentations were Yehuda Reamer and Charlie Cook, because they both made me laugh while they taught me something. So that humor tied into it, so you had an enjoyable educational experience. What are we looking for? We're looking to learn something, we're looking to have a good time. If you can blend the two together, look how much of a win that is. Now you need to learn how to be, as a guest, learn how to be dependable. How many times have any of you guys tried to do a show or a thing, somebody promised to be there and then they weren't? Or they were right up to the line, or right up to the limit, or the clock is ticking and you're getting nervous, right? Paul is the most dependable person in the entire world. If he says he's going to do it, he's doing it. If he says he's going to be there, he's there. It makes for a guest that if you are stuck, you call Paul, say, you got 5 minutes, you got 10 minutes, can you be on my show in 7.5 minutes ready to go, right? And if he says yes, then he's going to be there. But that dependability is great. Not to name names, but I had scheduled, and it's not anybody in this room, I had scheduled to do a show on Friday that we were going live on live TV at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern. And so I was not sure that I would be at a place where I had enough internet to go live at 7 p.m. So we set up a time at noon to record it so that it was there, ready, programmed, and ready to go. At 11:30, I don't get a call. I call them and say, you know, how are we doing? Are you on your way? They're like, yeah, no, I decided I'm not coming. Okay? So I have a live show at 7 p.m. I may not have you as the guest, but I have a live show. So the next time I go to schedule a guest, am I picking you? Right? Am I putting together a backup plan? How good is your story that I'm going to risk it a second time? That's how critical dependability is. Because you may be the best guest, but if you're a no-show guest once, and you can bet that, remember that old commercial where they tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and they tell two friends? How many people am I going to tell that, oh, be careful, so-and-so is not necessarily dependable? So dependability is absolutely critical. And then you need to learn how to be resourceful as a guest. So as you're doing things, and you need to know, if you don't know the answer, you need to know who knows the answer. So you can be like in the middle of an interview, I'm not sure, but my friend knows. The queen of who knows what is Miss Cheryl Todd. Right? She may not know all the answers, but she can say, oh, so-and-so knows, and we can go connect to them, or, go talk to them or something. So she sends the audience in a search to look for whoever has the answer to whatever that is. Because there's nothing worse than you're doing an interview and you have someone on that is the supposed expert, and they go, yeah, I'm not really the expert. Yeah, I don't really know. You know what that does? You know what that really does? Is that makes me look like, as the host, that makes me look like I'm an ass because I brought in a supposed expert who's not an expert. Why don't I just go reach off and grab somebody off the street and say, look, I'm going to put you on the show, and just say, I don't know. So if you are on and you are the supposed expert, you better learn how to dodge and parry. If you don't know the answer to what's the weather outside, then you change the conversation to, well, I'm wearing a sweater now because the air conditioning is amazing in this building. You're still talking about the weather, but you're talking about the part you know. You don't have to say, I don't know, I haven't been outside. I mean, when you start to listen to interviews, that's how you want to listen, is listen to how they're dodging and parrying and how they're moving around to get to a topic, because that topic, it matters. And to the host, man, when somebody says, I don't know, or I'm not sure, I wince. because I'm like, oh, God. And then try to have a guest that is a one-trick pony. And they're like, okay, I've got you scheduled for 55 minutes. And you've got 17 minutes worth of content, including talking about your Aunt Helen. I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the time. Let me tell you, I'm tap dancing, we're showing videos, I'm telling funny stories from when I was 6, because you're trying to figure out how do you fill this time and what do you do. So if you are going to say, I want to be a guest on your show, you want to know how long it's going to be, you want to have topics that you believe will fill that content time, and you want to have an extra topic or two in your pocket just in case they run through them really fast. Because you want to be prepared that you're not going, oh, I got nothing. Because how does it make you look? Does it make somebody want to run to your YouTube channel when you're like, yeah, I got nothing? I got nothing to tell you. Right? It's just that you want to be prepared. I'm putting together a presentation for the summit for the DC Project Gals. And I'm actually starting it when I talk about the interviews that, guess what? The host is just not that into you. So it's your job to get them interested. It's your job to feed them the information so you can both be successful and that you can look good. They will try to make you look good, but if you're not helping, guess what? They're going to make themselves look good, and you're just kind of out for the ride. Rob? Okay. So Rob Morris says when he goes onto a guest show, he probably uses about 1/3 of the material, and he's got things prepared. So when the host kind of goes in a direction, he can jump down through his notes and go, oh, okay, I've got this to put in there, or I've got that to put in there. Different places in his list for things to do. So if you're really quick on your quick on your feet, you can just pull them out of your head, but you really want some stuff written down. And if you really want to make it easy for the host, you write it down and you send them kind of like you've got 3 or 4 things that you can do that they can tee you up and send you on your way, and then you can tell whatever that story is. And it makes it easy. So you really want to make sure that the guest, as a guest, has a backup topic. We have somebody who's on today who said, I'm going to teach this. And if they don't have questions, I have a backup topic, and it is this. Think about how relaxing that is for Paul, because he knows he doesn't have to fill that time. Because here's what they're going to do, and here's the backup for what they're going to do. How does that make that person look? They look professional. They're out there. They're promoting. They're self-promoting. And they're utilizing well all of their time. So how many of you guys have had guests who click, fidget, sniff, pound on the table when they're talking? So as they talk, they make this noise, right? And you're like, stop it. I am your father, right? You need to know what your habits are and not do that. If you are a fidgeter, get a soft squishy ball. Not anything that makes noise, Rob Campbell. I don't know if now that we're on TV, if you watch our show, you will periodically see Rob go, because I reach over and I punch him, or I take something away from him, or I slap it down on the table because he's clicking or he's fidgeting or he's doing something, and he's like, what? Well, I can hear it in my mic, so everybody else can hear it. Stop it. So think about all that kind of noise. So the whole guests who apologize, say I'm not sure, do all that kind of stuff. Then to play off some of the stuff that Charlie had, we look at what your backdrop is. Have you guys seen the YouTube videos where somebody's doing a zoom and somebody walks through the back of the scene in their underwear? Right? It's like, whoops, I just came from the shower, right? Or have you seen the lawyer who his kid was playing with his YouTube or his Zoom and turned him into a cat? And he's trying to do a deposition. If you've not seen it, you need to look at it. You need to research YouTube, I am not a cat. Because he says to the judge, I'm ready to do the deposition, judge. And the judge is like, no, you're not. And he's like, but I'm not a cat. And the other lawyer is kind of ignoring all this until he says that. And you can see the lawyer look like Marsha Brady looking down at one of the other boxes, going, what? Right? And he's dressed as a cat with big, nervous cat eyes. It's the best video. But you need to be prepared. You need to know how you look. If your backdrop is white, if you are doing a video and your backdrop is white, and your shirt is white, and your hair is white, and your skin is pink, you look like a bonbon and you disappear into the background. So you need to know what you look like. Rob Morris one day wore something that matched the wall perfectly, so he was a floating head the entire hour and a half of the podcast. Just his head. I mean, he really blended right into the wall. So you need to know what it looks like. You need to look at how you're framed. So when they set things up and you're doing some kind of a video type thing, and you look at yourself and your head is 3 times the size of anybody else's on the thing, back up. If your head is the size of a pin and everybody else's is giant, move forward. Adjust so you match. John Richardson, God bless him, but he does everything with the bottom of the screen right about here, and he has as much head space as he has head. Right? So you can't see his chin, and he's just kind of sunk down in like his chair's not tall enough. Move your camera. You're showcasing you. You're on here because you are the expert. There is professionalism available to you. It's really easy to do, and you are giving it away piece by piece by piece to where people look at you and you don't look like the expert. So how are they going to follow your show? How are they going to tune in? How are they going to read your stuff? And how are they going to believe in your message if they don't believe in your message delivery? Rob. Right. So I want people at home to hear this. So Rob is saying when the host says, "How can we learn more about you?" Be prepared to tell them how. Don't go, you need to say, "Oh, well, Rob, I'm the host of Eye on the Target Radio, and you can find me here on my website. You can find me here on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on OpsLens." And just roll through them. You can find me on Stitcher, so that you have them and you just roll through them. And if they don't read smoothly for you, add spaces till they do. Read it. That's another thing. If you prepare something and you're going to read it out loud a couple times so it runs smoothly. So you don't get to the end of the line and the other half of the word is down here and your pronunciation is missing, your emphasis is on the wrong syllable. If it becomes very easy. Or if you are a cadence reader, that you read like the little pony trots down the street. Don't do it. You need to then be a bullet point person, not a reader person, because everybody can tell. And what are you doing? You're giving away your credibility. What? Okay, and I love Tony Simon too. Let me tell you. If you guys look, we had Tony Simon at a New Jersey event one time, and we made him get on his knees so we could all stand up. So it's the greatest picture in the world is there's Tony down in the bottom, and we're all like over top of him. But yeah. No, am I wrong, Tony? Come on. So I'm just saying that you are the expert. Your job is to be the expert. So showcase yourself like the expert. If you come in looking professional, they're going to assume that you know what you're talking about. You can be a jerk later. You can then tell them, they can decide later they don't like you, they don't like what you have to say. But don't turn them off before you even get a chance. And so make it easy to be a guest on somebody else's show. Make it easy to be on their list of, if they get stuck and somebody at 11:30 doesn't show up, that they know who they can call. Because let me tell you, they have a short list. And there are people that they will call on a moment's notice and say, please come on my show, bail me out, save my bacon, help me. And it feels really good to be one of those people, does it not, Rob Morris? Yeah, so you just call Rob and say, hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me? But it gives you much more press. It gives you much more availability. It gives you exposure. It's making me really self-conscious. John Petrolino, I should make you more self-conscious. Because Petrolino needs to practice his speaking and not reading, because he's so darn smart, but he locks up when he starts to talk. So know your stuff. Here's the thing. Have you ever seen somebody read you their bio? They read it. Who knows you better than you? Why would you have to read your bio? Why? Right? You should be able to talk about yourself really easy without any help. But no, let me read my bio. No, come on. People want a conversational, entertaining, vocal variety interview where they're not watching YouTube to learn stuff. They're watching YouTube to be entertained first. And if they learn something, that's happenstance that goes along with it. Rob, did you have something else? Do you want a mic? Because this is going to be the Rob and Amanda show here. The other Rob and Amanda show. Any Rob.
Any Rob will do.
Come on.
What? Oh,
if you're going to do this, come on. We've got a couple minutes. Yeah.
Different hosts have a different cadence and style.
Right.
Some are, hi, I have a question I'd like to ask you. I'm going to go get a sandwich. Here it is. You own the next 15 minutes. Right. Others are four sentences, hit the ball back over the court, and find out where they'd like to go next.
There is that. Understand their conversational style, because my conversational style is you talk, I talk, you talk, I talk. It works for me. Other people's is I'm just going to hand this to you, sit back, and you're going to run a monologue.
And at the end of your thing, you hear a ding, the sandwich is done, they come back, they sit down, they ask you the next question. But if you're not prepped for either one of those styles, it's like, well, what do you think of that? And they're all, are you back there somewhere, or did we lose the connection?
Yeah, are you talking to me, right? And so, or you stomp on one another.
But we solved one thing to do is share show notes in a Google Doc with your potential host, because then they go, hey, Rob, I think, they don't say this, oh, that's intriguing. I want to wrap that up and go here, and now they've already bought in. So yeah. You're doing some of their work for them. On the other hand, they're teeing you up to take you where you're prepared to go.
Keep talking for a minute, because I got to go get my notes for the next guy.
How did I get here?
Sometimes they leave you with the stage, right?
But if having them lead you where you want to go is infinitely more comfortable than them saying, I know you're generally conversant on this topic. I wonder if they bat it to you and you go, I saw that headline and never read that article. Watch me tap dance and not call myself stupid in front of a national audience.
Right.
So you're saving both of you from potential embarrassment.
Do so. Yes, exactly. Okay, so did you learn something from our presentation? Thanks, Rob. Right, make it easy. If you carry nothing else away, just carry away that the host is just not that into you, and it's your job to work hard to make it a successful date. Okay, I am now going to introduce our next speaker, or I guess it's our sort of first speaker, second speaker, if you want to work your way down here, Mike. Mike, I am going to give this a try. Mike Piwowarski. I just want you to know I've been practicing that like all morning. So he's the host of a nationally syndicated radio show, Arms Room Radio, for the past 7 years. He's been on Radio Row at SHOT Show. That's a big deal. He's a big deal. And he's a co-host of The Rundown. In addition to his time in radio and as a Second Amendment advocate, he has served over 25 years in the U.S. Army as active duty and the reserves, and is a combat veteran. Mike also spent 21 years working in civilian law enforcement in patrol, training, investigations, aviation, and domestic security. Do you feel safer? I feel safer. There you go. Mike also owns and operated an FFL, Class 3 manufacturing business. And then this sums up Mike's personality 100%. Mike likes puppies, taking long walks on the beach, and his favorite color is 8. There you go, Mike Piwowarski.
Everybody's on there. Oh, there. Hey, everybody.
Everybody at home can't hear you otherwise.
All right. They can hear me at home. It's baseball. It's the last day of the regular season right now. All games start today at 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be on an airplane. 15 games. I'm not going to know the score till because I took Spirit, and you can't even get a glass of water on Spirit. So I got to wait till I land to figure out what's going on between Toronto, Boston, Seattle, and the Yankees. So, because we got a potential 4-way tie going for the wild card in the American League. Not too stressed about it because the American League is not real baseball. I mean, they use 10 people on a designated hitter. Yeah, exactly right. So it's not real baseball. So, but that's sorry. Rob brought up baseball. I wasn't even going to go there. I promised I wasn't going to go there today with baseball. Last time we did this, I think it was I did spring training. Right, we talked about the importance of middle relief pitching in spring training. I do have a little PowerPoint because he said let's teach a class, so I'm going to teach a class. Right? Where's me? Hey, me! Look, me. I am. Thank you. And that was a wonderful intro. I would have had to have read it because I didn't. Making jokes. There we go. Where should I stand? I'm used to radio. There's not a lot of cameras in radio. Here, right there. Now I can't see anything. There's this bright light in my face. I am Mike Piwowarski, however you say it, it's all correct. There's about 10 different correct pronunciations to it. I will go to the next slide, though, and talk about my name for a moment. Because I always like to have a little funny story. And this is real, by the way. The Piwo is beer. It's Pivo. And the var is to make something, and ski is the family of. So I am the family of the beer maker. So I know it's a little early today on a Sunday morning, but if you see me with one, just it's DNA. I can't help it. Okay, it's just part of who I am. I want to tell you, I guess, how I got into radio. And I'm in radio. I'm not. We do like everybody else. I guess that's in radio. We post everything up later. So I've sat in here at AmCon before, and I've listened to podcasts all day long. That's all I do. But it still fascinates me because, as Amanda was just talking about, what do? You keep talking. Like, I got a clock. I watch a clock. I know I've got, I got a 10-minute mark I'm shooting for, and that's all I got to do is get to there. And if it's that interview where, you ask them the most important question, his response is, yes. You're great. Okay, now what? And you got to keep pulling. But at least I got a clock to shoot for. I don't have to, just try and make it seem like an entertaining whole half-hour or hour podcast. So we get breaks. It's nice. I got into radio. I was owning a gun store. I just come off working active duty, come off of working with law enforcement, and had a gun store. It was something we did. I knew guns. I was an armorer. I was a technician. So me and a buddy opened a gun store, Earl, who's my co-host on the radio show, and we had a guy who stopped in the store one day, and he was a radio sales guy. And if you think used car sales guys are bad, you dealt with the radio sales guys at the stations. They promise you everything, and all it's going to cost you is $20,000 a month for 10 minutes airtime or something ridiculous like that. And I was in the back, and they came up and they handed me his card, and it was a card from a guy who I'd known 20 years prior. He was used to be one of the rock and roll DJs in town, and when I was working a night shift in the bad neighborhood, it was the only place you could go with a locking fence and door behind you. You could go to the bathroom and not worry about getting shot. So it was him. We go in there. He started hanging out with us at the gun store. He was always a gun guy. And for 2-3 months, he's like, "Come on, just do a radio show. Just do one." I'm like, "No, dude. We're not falling for your tricks." and we finally relented. And the first 2 shows were horrible. And I don't know why I even post them up on air. They're posted up on in our database there. But it sounds like cheap infomercials. It's just horrible. And then we sat down together and said, "Listen, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Let's have fun with it. Let's be entertaining." Because there's a big guy in Central Florida radio, and his deal was informative yet entertaining yet informative. And for me, that's it. If you can't entertain, I mean, it can be as informative as you want, but I'm turning off stereo instructions in 5 minutes. I'm not listening beyond that. So we try to be entertaining. Sometimes we go a little too entertaining and we get off topic, but that's just the nature of the beast, right? And that's why Earl's there. He herds cats. He gets me back on track. In fact, I wish he was here today, because we'll probably talk about more baseball, because Rob brought it up. I didn't do it. Rob brought it up. So that's how I'm in radio and how I've gotten to know most everybody here in the room. I do like to start with a little bit of entertaining, like stories. I think the only time in my life I've been stumped for a funny story is when I got to ride shotgun with Charlie, and I sat there like a lump in his car and just watching traffic the whole time and couldn't think of one funny story. So that was it. One of my most disappointing times ever in the business. 7 years now, 25 stations. We're kind of in a holding pattern there, just because our professional, regular money-making careers are, demand some of our time. So we have to stick with those. In fact, that's my backup, Amanda. If we get to the point where I've still got 30 minutes left, it's how to make money in radio. So we'll share some of those experiences together. So let me move on here as we go on. Let's see. Traditional. Oh wow, did we get through everything? So these are the traditional news sites. What I want to talk to you about is how to get known in your local markets. Whether you're you got your video series, podcast series on the radio, whatever it happens to be. I found that locally, at least in Central Florida. Anybody in Florida? It's hard to see here. Okay. Yehuda, you're here in Dallas, right? What did you do with the GPS here in this town? Why does the GPS not work right here in Dallas? Get in the car and start driving, and it's just like, okay, now take the left behind you. What the what? I'm not making that up. It's recalculating. That's all it says the whole time we're driving. Recalculating. Were we counting last night after midnight or this morning? I'd rather not say. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Yehuda asked how many times I went to church this morning, and I said I went twice. Yeah. So, we're complaining about the GPS. It really is bad here. It just does the whole, recalculating. It's horrible. So, all right, we were talking about traditional media. I want to help get you known in your local towns. I found that getting known in my local town has helped, and I guess it was kind of selfish, helped get some free marketing advertising for the radio show. Because when they quote me in all of these places, they quote me as the host of Arms Room Radio, and that drives people to the radio show. So what I want to talk about is the way to get in good with your local people, and again, interactive. Tell me what you've got, and I can't see over here with the lights. You've probably heard that already, so just say something or yell something if you got something for me. Paul, if we could do the next slide there. The most important thing is having a resume ready to go. Always have one ready to go, and it's a printed one. And I know there's some different theories on resumes, as far as, do you make it the one-page snapshot, or do you make it the 4 or 5 page bio summary? I think the one-page snapshot is real nice. It still works, and you can get a lot of things in there. A lot of it is how you word your resume, and this is the stuff we're going to be giving to, and I'll talk about radio, TV, and newspapers in your local market. And it's all pretty simple. You can see we probably all have these same bullet comments on here, or very, very similar. And these are just a couple of examples. Obviously, we're all a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, right? So we've got that, which makes me a participant in the 2019 gun rights policy. Notice I didn't say the GRPC. I said the Gun Rights Policy Conference, because I'm sending this to people that have no idea what GRPC is. Location and dates. It shows longevity. It shows willing to travel. Listen, if I put different locations around the country, I think it says more to the people in Orlando. Wow, this guy, he gets around. He's wanted in more than one place. Maybe he is a little bit more important. And we all pump our resumes up a little bit. We don't lie, right? But we use the right words that convey the right message. So, speaker, GRPC, virtual. This is actually, Paul, this is the second slide. Is there one before this? I think there's one before this on the resume. No? Okay, we'll go with that one. That'll work. Member of Georgia Carry. I love my people in Georgia Carry. I'm member with Pat up there in Georgia Carry. Organization policy development. Now, Pat, I didn't get to go to this year's because I had the event in New York. What do you do when you're at the state event? And it's not as big as an AZCDL meeting, but which I've been there as well. But what do we do when we're up at the Georgia Carry? We have fun. We have fun, and it's just like the microcosm of anything we do anywhere. When we get together, we inevitably sit around in a corner and talk about policy, right? Well, Pat, did we not sit and talk with Jerry Henry and with Kelly, your CEO and your executive director? What do we talk about? Talk about life. We talk about everything. Do we talk about policy development? What we're going to do this year with Georgia Carry? Yeah, sounds good, right? It's just tell them what you're doing. Find the right words, convey the message, and just let them know what's going on. I'm a member of New Jersey Second Amendment Society, interagency coordination. Does everybody know Alexander Rubian from there? When we get together with Alexander, it's always, we get in groups, and the same thing we just talked about with Patrick. So we have our interagency coordination. What is Georgia and New Jersey going to do together this year? What did you guys do that we can do? What are we going to do that you did? So we're sharing that information, and I just happen to call it interagency coordination. This is important too. If you're licensed to carry in firearms, if you want to portray to them that you're an expert in use of force, make sure you cite that. If you want to portray to them you're a technical expert in the firearm and how it works, so that way when you get the reporter that comes on and talks about the ghost gun that shoots 30 rounds in a second, and it's got the shoulder thing that goes up, you're a local expert that can help to quell those lies. All right, let's try the next one, Paul. Let's see what's there. Okay, so they might have just been out of order. Okay. I like to use the full titles for these as much as I can in the snapshot, because a lot of times the titles, just like when I'm saying Gun Rights Policy Conference, spells out what it is. I'll put, if we did the Florida Carry, which a lot of us I've seen there before, I put the title of each one. The first one was Education, Not Intimidation. The next one was Friends of the Firearm, and then finally they had the Florida Freedom Rally. I like the word participant more than I like attendee. Attendee makes it sound like I bought my ticket, I sat in the back. Participant, which is basically the same thing, says I was involved, right? Whether it was I picked up my paper, I sat down, and I was a good student. Participant shows a little more active, I believe. It's using the right words. I was a speaker the following year, and then I think it's actually in the wrong honor. I helped MC the year before, because Paul did MC this past year, so it was the year before. So, and I was just a helper for that. Who's not a member of one of the smaller organizations under the SAF umbrella? Okay, this one's important for me, and Yehuda and I've talked about this a lot because of never again, and I don't want to see that ever happen. And I've got a lot of family that are Jewish, and I've tried to. It's amazing. I'm the one trying to get them into JPFO, and I'm not the Jewish one. So, but important organizations. I love what they stand for, and I don't love why, but you understand what I'm saying. What the organization's trying to do. What do we do there? National. This is just another bunch of big words put together that tells you exactly what we do, rather than saying we all sit around and talk. Right? We have national strategy, policy development, and that's what we talk about. How are we going to reach out to the Jewish community throughout the nation to help direct them towards preservation of firearms ownership? So, resumes are some big stuff. You got to have the resume. In fact, I think I got one more resume slide. Let's see. Do I? Okay. So these are just some of the bullet things. After you start listing the organizations that you're part of, or the places you've attended, and you can list. Listen, I'd list everything. You go to the USCCA event this past weekend. A bunch of you were there. I'd list that. You just go to NRA. If you go to NRA, and I'm not talking about the politics of NRA. I'm not talking about attending the meetings with the board of directors. But as you walk around there and you talk to people that are bosses of companies that are trying to sell you things, you start to talk about policy, you start to talk about law, you start to talk about legalities. Well, I think that's enough to say that, you went somewhere and, let's see. Well, perhaps the bottom one. You updated training curriculums for basic and advanced handgun live fire courses. If you got with the group of instructors and talked about what are their methods for teaching. How do you teach? How do you get through this? How do you bring people into class? And again, it's not a lie. It's not fluff. It's just presenting it to. Remember, you're talking to media executives, and they don't want to see went to NRA in 2019, went to USCCA in 2020. They want a little bit more. So when they sit and they want to ask you a question that comes up about policy, they go, "Oh, that guy Mike, he dropped his resume off. He's been involved in policy. He's been involved with legislative action or doing a little lobbying or." Even if you don't do lobbying, you talk to the people that do the lobbying, right? That's what we all sit together here for. Not all of us have the opportunity to go to the state capitol, but we talk to the people that do go to the state capitol. Yeah. All right, Paul. Let's go into the next one. Okay. Newspapers. This is the easiest one really to get into, and I know you think newspapers. You're like, how am I going to get into a newspaper? They're all owned by the liberal media. I'm not talking about regular newspapers. I'm talking about the weekly rags that come out in your neighborhood. Orlando's got one. It's called the Orlando Weekly. We've all got the Penny Saver. Did you know there's articles in the Penny Saver? There's articles in the Penny Saver. And if you write an article to the Penny Saver, they'll print an article in the Penny Saver. Because they're just happy somebody knew that they still existed. And lawyers in the room? We got any lawyers in here? Okay. How often do you print in the Penny Saver? Never? You don't make your notifications for divorce, for bankruptcies, for everything else in the Penny Saver? At least in Florida anyway, the law says you have to make a public notification. And the lawyers use printed in the back of the Penny Saver because nobody looks there. So that's how they do it. Is there a reason you don't do it, or did you not have that requirement? Okay, so the answer for those at home is they use legitimate newspapers. I guess what I need is a legitimate lawyer then, because my lawyer, he's like, oh, put it in the Penny Saver. Nobody looks there. So, and you've all heard him on the radio too with me, so he gets a little wacky. That's Kevin Maxwell. I'm just going to throw a plug out for him, but yeah. So the Penny Saver does have articles. You can put articles in there, and guess what happens after they print your article in the back of the Penny Saver? You're a published author. You're a published author at that point. You get to clip it, take it out, and you get to put it there on your, what was the thing we just had up? The resume. Now you get to drop published author on your resume. And now it's the Penny Saver, all right? We know nobody's checking it, nobody's proofreading it, we're not doing anything. So please, when you're writing an article, and I see there's plenty of writers in here, write a lot more than I do. I've gotten to the point where I barely write anymore. Have somebody proofread it. Have two people proofread it. Have a third person proofread it, okay? Because the easiest way to get something kicked back to you by a professional editing staff or writing staff at a real newspaper when we go to the next step is if you don't know the difference between there, and there. That kind of stuff. You don't know punctuation. If you don't know how to start a paragraph, you have to know structure. You have to have your storylines. Your beginning and your end, and your body in between. So make sure it's good. Do not publish it ahead of time on your Facebook page. Nobody, written people that newspapers, even the penny saver, wants to reprint your greatest hits from Facebook. All right, they want original work and original articles. Now listen, after they publish it and it's been out for a week, then you want to go post it up. Hey, here's my link to what I wrote, and it's such and such. Go ahead and do that. Then it's okay because now you're driving people to their website and their articles, and they're happy with that. So I've done that before. The weekly is probably the best place to go. The penny savers first, then the next place to go is like your weekly magazine. My newspaper has a weekly magazine, and it's full of entertainment news. It's full of opinion pieces written off as articles, and why not? I like to read that one, and you'll always find that probably once every 2-3 weeks you'll find an anti-gun article in there, and then you get to be the opposition. You get to be the piece that comes back and clarifies where they were wrong. Don't argue. It's not Facebook. It's not social media. Just point out this is there was a previous article that talked about gun violence. Boom, and then go into everything that we all know and we can all spout off all day long. Okay, and you're basing it on your resume, your knowledge, skills, abilities, your prior experience and education, because you had that resume, right? And by the way, you're a published author also because you were in Penny Saver. Penny Saver's great. I think that's where Charles Dickens started, actually, if I recall. Pretty sure. All right, if Paul were here, we'd move on to radio next. I don't want to touch anything over there to push the slide forward. Radio. Now, luckily, a lot of us in the room know people in radio, but it's a matter of learning those people in your local area. Everybody could probably tell me what their local AM radio is or their local FM radio is that does conservative talk, because there's usually only one, right? We're down to that. We own one or two in our local markets, and they're pretty decent. They're pretty good size, and it's time to make friends with them. Well, guess what? We're going to go to them, and this is kind of a toss-up. I'm curious if anybody else has had to deal with anyone like this. You can come in radio. You can come in with a resume and just send that and meet with the GMs or meet with the programming director. And that should work. And I think that usually that's what I found worked best for me was I sent that information forward to other stations and other people that I knew rather than just start being that annoying caller. Because we've all listened to radio where you've heard that civilian caller call in and they think they're the expert on everything, and you're like, hang up on this guy already. Okay, why is this guy, why are you giving him any airtime? They're not the expert they think they are, and you're cringing and squeezing the steering wheel just about ready to drive off the road. So I prefer to go meet, or at least email. We're in the world of COVID now. Nobody wants to meet with anybody. My radio station. Does anybody? I know. Do you go to the regular radio station when you guys at all to broadcast? Not anymore. Okay. That was my question. We've been since February. Yeah, since February we've been locked out of the iHeart studios. That's where we broadcast from, and yeah, it's all right. So we were locked out, and I had a 10-by-10 room on the back of my shed / pump house out back of my behind my house, and for the first 3-4 weeks we had to do. Like we recorded in the dining room one day, at my office at the hangar the next day, and you could hear the airplanes going over, and it was rough. Now we've all done a pre-record or something like that before, but this was just like, oh, we can't keep doing this. So I started to build that room out, and that's what became, and I've got the pictures of it, known as Location Bravo, because it's the bourbon room, because it had a bunch of people. You mentioned one thing on the radio one time, and everybody remembers it. Well, we said, oh yeah, no, I was stationed at Fort Knox. I love going. I went on a bourbon trail. I love it. And from there, every time we'd go somewhere, somebody would hand us a bottle of bourbon, to where we had 40 or 50 of them, and we finally just put them up on the wall. And now every time I see somebody, I got one last night. Somebody gave me a bottle of Weller's because I can't get them in Florida. Somebody handed me a bottle of Weller's at the USCCA last night. No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, right. But you know what? That's the only pay I get from radio. I don't know about you. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's it. We hang in the same crowd. Then I love them too. I don't get them though. That's right. That's right. Just so everybody's clear, Cheryl and I love $100 bills. So back on radio. That's how I worked my way into radio. I sent some, and I was on a radio station, but there's a couple others outside the fringe, outside of towns that I was not on, and started to spread my expert appearances on radio, which led me into the TV news, which is kind of weird because I clearly have the face for radio, and for the most part, I have a voice for newspapers, because I'm always stumbling all over myself. I don't know how I get to stay on the radio, but with television, local Fox, right? Does anybody have anybody else that's not a conservative, maybe except maybe local Fox? Rob? Yes. Yeah, and because of like some other things in my resume that I had done before, like in Florida, one of the things I got on was with the hurricane response of military and National Guard, law enforcement, but that also lended credibility towards the with the firearm stuff. Like for instance, if I was Paul and I was putting forth a resume, I'd make sure I'd put my large career in the trucking industry. That way, not only am I a Second Amendment's right guy, but if something happens with a truck strike, they just go, call Paul. He knows exactly what's going on. So don't list just your, what we're here for today. List all of your skills, and they can use those. Because if you become more versatile, they'll go to you more often. So, but thank you, Rob, for the question. So with TV news media, it was basically the same thing. I hooked up with my local Fox station, and I found with them at first, I became their go-to let me ask you a question guy, but not put you on the air, and which was perfect. I'll get a text from Valerie all the time, and she's like, "Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And those questions led into now I do like law enforcement use of force response for them. When I think the most recent one was the woman officer in Wisconsin pulled her gun and she went to tase the bad guy, and she realized she had her gun, not her taser. So we had to talk about tasers and history of and what's in them, but just all based on history. Again, like the truck. So that's worked into local media, local news. I get called for those. I probably do one or two a month. Something comes up to talk to my local news media with the television show. So, and this all started with my resume from being here, and then writing that article for the Penny Saver. Because guess what? They're going to print it. If they don't print you in a Penny Saver, too many articles that week or too many notifications from, shady lawyers, not good lawyers. Because that's where I really thought all lawyers did that. I guess I just hang with a shady lawyer, I guess. My lawyer says, no matter what you go to him for, he says, you know what you need? You need a criminal lawyer. You're like, well, this is a civil case. He goes, no, you're not listening. You need a criminal lawyer. you're like, whoa, dude! I just got a parking ticket. Relax. I'm trying to be polite. There's one in the room. Let's see. All right, Paul. HORHARO.com. It comes out 3 times a day, and it's a vast majority of information. These are reporters that are got creds for writing from anything from the weekly magazines all the way up to the New York Times. I did one with the guy from the New York Times about gun policy out of New York just because of this, and I get cited as one of the sources in a New York Times article. It is Paul. Give me the well, you can see you could sign up as a source, or if you're a writer, sign up as a journalist. You can sign up as both. Can you get the next slide, Paul? Can I have the next slide, please, sir? Okay, so it comes out and it gives you a list of what topics they have. They're looking for public policy, they're looking for travel, and these are questions from journalists that are sourcing out material for their stories that they're writing. And then you click on one, you come over to the right, and it tells you exactly what it's looking for. The query is he's looking for, kickback and statute and beneficiary inducements, whatever. But probably, I would say every day or two there'll be a gun topic in there, something related to firearms, something related to local, and you got to scour it. I do the search, firearms, guns, and the first thing that they want from you when you respond is, guess what? A resume. They're not going to talk to you without a resume. You send them the resume, and for the most part, I've heard back from them all within the next, hour at tops. Most of the reporters I've talked to, they want to talk for an hour or so. They want to feel you out. They want to get information. They want to feel comfortable. Then they call back their other source. Then they call you back once they realize that you're not, giving them a bunch of nonsense and you're telling the truth. And you can become a source for, these reporters all over the country. Listen, I've done, as going through it, and I think the reason there's one on here for travel. I had just gotten back from Italy on a trip. And it was like, experiences in Milan. I'm like, well, I just got back from Milan, so, and got in there as a source for Milan about, where to stay in hotels and stuff. So I didn't put that one on my resume, though. Milan travel expert. Get with me for fashion tips. So that's oh, sorry, Rob, just spit it out there. So that's Help a Reporter Out. Or helpareporter.com, HRAO is what it is. I know that. And it comes in all day long. Oh, and it's 3 emails a day. You get it Monday through Friday, morning, lunch, and dinner. So if you've got an email that you want to keep clean, don't give them that email address. Give them a different one. I actually ended up setting up a special Gmail just for this because it's all day long. It's coming. It's popping in. I'm already at. Hold on. Let's see. I'm down to. I'm at 36,853 emails, and I'm slowly working them down. So, trying to keep that email box clean. All right, what do we got next there? Paul, let's see. Okay, all right, well, let me see where we are in time, because I got backups and stuff also. We got plenty of time, good. Questions on how to get yourself, let's go there. Questions on how to get yourself more involved with your local media. Yes, sir. Yes. The question is with whether it be TV or radio or the newspapers. How do I break the ice to get in contact with them? Was that a regular sneeze? Was that all right? God bless you, Paul. He kind of hit it. I was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Let it go." The newspaper was the easy one because they don't. I guess they don't like to deal with people. Face to face. They've always been newspaper people. So the breaking the ice there was pretty simple. It was sending them the resume with the copy of my published work from the Penny Saver. And I'm joking about the Penny Saver. It really does. If you haven't been published anywhere before, it's an easy way to get a quick credit. It does work. From there they were like, just send it. We got space. As soon as we got space, we'll run it. So they were pretty simple. The radio is. I think the radio was more hoity-toity, nose in the air than the television was. They definitely had the who are you, and you want to break into our business. And I think the reason that is because and this is my backup. We'll go into this. There is no money to be made in radio, and those people that are in radio are trying to guard every last cent of it, and they don't want to give you any of it. The news people can actually on air they can make some money. But I think he makes all the money, though. That's why there's none for the rest of us. There's no money, and there's no money in radio.
So I just was Paul's yelling from the backside. So he said Howard Stern. I'm just that way. Everybody who's in.
Thank you.
Everybody who's home.
I keep forgetting. Yeah.
Well, you've got a mic. You're doing fine. Paul, on the other hand, was the.
Paul is the offender.
Yeah, he's the offender. There's a reason why Paul does not have a mic, is what the Peanut Gallery just said. Whoops.
So to finish that one up, the radio seems a little bit hard to get into. I think that one you just have to continue to push forward. Maybe even if you could call. I like to call on air also, and hey, if you guys need this, because the host, a lot of times the PD and the GM, they don't let the hosts know. So you can call them, right before a show. If you call them after a show, they're gone. Listen, Anybody that's in radio knows that like before the first commercial, after your show is done, you're in the car downstairs. You're gone. You got someplace to be. But beforehand, a radio guy will show up if he's a decent radio guy at least an hour before a program. If it's a half-hour program, maybe a couple minutes before. But if it's an hour program, they're there at least 30 minutes beforehand doing their prep work. And listen, half my prep work when we would go to a station was just making sure the darn producer was there half the time. Because guess what? No work in radio, no money in radio. They pay the producers $10 an hour and give them about 10 hours a week. So you just had to hope, my producer's here today. Or the beautiful one is when you're on a remote and that's when they decide to tell you, hey, you got a new producer today. And you're like, oh, great. Just, you know what? Use that one in the can. We're not even going to do this today. I want it to go out on the air. TV was a little more simple. I'm sorry, Rob. I know you got a question. TV was a little more simple. They would meet with you. They like resumes. They like send them a little headshot or whatever. The one for TV that I didn't mention. I'm sorry. Was they want the good backdrop, and as Amanda talked about earlier, it was getting the good backdrops in. Great backdrops for gun stores. Guys in gun stores. A lot of them, their policy is wonky, because they're in the sales business. There's plenty of 2A people in gun stores. I'm not trying to imply there is not, but you start to talk to them. We just had here in Texas with the gun store owners doing the we don't like constitutional carry because we want people to have training. There's a better way to say that, okay? Now you make you sound like yourself like you're an anti-gun guy, right? Because listen, I support the Constitution, the carrying of firearms, and recommend everybody get training after they get a firearm. Is that not better than I'm the anti-gun guy that guy just said? But get the gun store guy. They may not want to go on the air. They may not want to do any of that. But a gun store is the perfect backdrop. And what the gun store owner doesn't mind is free publicity. He doesn't want to go on the air because he doesn't want to step on his tongue. But talk to him ahead of time. And when I get that phone call, she says, "Meet you at the shop." Yep, meet you at the shop, and go over there, and we do it right in front of the gun store, or behind me standing behind the counter. Like I still know what I'm doing back there.
No, you answered the question. Did you ever get your pretty face on the air rather than just being an off-air reference?
Oh, yeah. No, I did. It's about every 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I gotta run over there. It's something that always comes up, and get to do that. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been enjoyable. And keep doing it.
Mike, I'm going to toss you one. Dead air.
Yes.
When people
when
go
you ask
into,
they go no.
When people go into something and it goes dead air, what's the host do? I mean, what it? Because dead air is like the dirtiest thing in radio.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, and when the three of us are on the show and we're rocking and we're going back and forth, there's always conspiracy going on amongst the co-hosts on my show. And we'll just be great, and it'll just be rolling, and I'll and what do you think about this, Rob? And my co-host will go, no, it's great. And I think the audience that listens to us enough knows that okay, the co-host is messing with me. But when you get that dead air, you've got to go. Patrick was a guest with me yesterday Friday on the Rundown. I also co-host the Rundown with Craig DeLuz, who opened for you yesterday. Been doing this video series for 3-4 months now, and I'm still not convinced I have any idea what I'm doing on that. But we had a bad connection with him with the internet there, and he asked us a question, something along the lines, and all I heard was new California gun law. And from there, always have the story ready to go. Always have something ready to go. I went into what's it going to take, Craig? Another new gun law? Is that what it's going to stop? We need one more gun law. We've got all the gun laws in the country. Our standard speech that we can all go into for 20 minutes, our stump speech, right? And that went into my Uber driver who was from Venezuela, who told me about, he just got here from Venezuela over the past 5 years. He's a pro-gun guy, pro-constitution guy. He's seen what happened in his own country. And, we have people coming and telling us that we're not listening. We need to get out there and spread this message. What would that take? 5-6 minutes, Patrick? And all I heard was new California gun law. But you've just always got it ready to go. You have to have, when they stump you and they just go, that's it. And who's that? Viggo Mortensen. Everybody know the actor Viggo Mortensen? He was the master chief in G.I. Jane. If you ever watch him do an interview, his response to everything is, yes, no. And there's no interview there. I mean, the guy's so brilliant in his craft that I don't think he can. unless you tell him what's his motivation for the interview, he's not going to give you anything. But I have that in my head. Every time I think dead air, I think, oh, I got another Viggo Mortensen interview going on here.
Right, and it's really hard, and so you don't want to be that guest. You want to do something to where you can almost hear in the radio.
Yeah.
You can hear the other host or the host kind of getting ready, like they're doing jump rope, like they're
Yeah.
getting ready to
Yeah.
dive in,
Yeah.
because it needs to be a give and take, and you're
Yeah.
filling the air.
Yeah, it's the standard response. Well, when the dead air hits, he goes, well, that just brings us back to, and go. Just go. It doesn't matter what it is. Yes, sir.
Hey, Mike. Chris Chang.
Hey, Chris.
So a question on like the opposite end of the spectrum. Right?
Yeah.
Dead air is terrible, but then I guess for you, when you have a guest who rambles on or just sort of doesn't get to the point,
Yeah.
how do you approach that? Or I don't know. I guess what advice can you give for guests to not be long-winded and go on and on and on?
Luckily, on the radio side, like I said, I got that clock. We just play the music in their ear and walk them off stage. It's just like, they start to hear the music and you just go, now, Rob, how can everybody stay in touch with you? And hope that ends in 15 seconds and not 2 minutes worth of where they can get in touch with you. We've been doing a lot more with the special broadcasts and a lot with the rundown. For the most part, I've been able to sit in front of a guest. When we go to shows, that's where we get most of our guests from. But when it's on the radio and you're there and you're trying to get them cut off, I think you just have to. I jump in with the right, exactly. A quick agreement gets. I find is the way to cut them off. They like to hear that they're right. They never like to hear that they're wrong. We all like to hear that we're right. And I'll jump in with exactly right. It's exactly my point. And unfortunately, though, we've got to get going. But I want people to know where they reach you. Because that's the most important part. They want to stay in touch with you. And then
You're exactly right, Mike. How can people reach you if they need to know more?
Exactly right. There you go.
Ooh.
The student becomes the master.
Okay.
Question, Hickey.
Mike, in building relations with your local media, have any groups that you've worked with hosted media days, and if so, how did they work out? Media, let's say, range days, have any of those worked out as far as building relations?
I've done it. I've gone back in. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, Nikki. We have a range by us, an outdoor range that does like a machine gun shoot every year. Nothing huge like a Knob Creek or the one here in Texas that does it. I saw it at USCCA, but they do an open shoot day, and I'll go introduce myself to that guy at the range and propose exactly what you said. Hey, could I bring a few reporters out here, and we like to demo it, and they'd like to, in the meantime, they're going to be publishing your range and what's going on, and they never do it again, I'm dealing with Fox, Nikki, so I don't go to the other stations. So it's usually a positive light of what's going on. But yeah, I've done that before, so I've brought them in. I did get to see it. I was on Nancy Grace once. I got called from them after doing TV, and that was just me going, no, that's not what we said. Nobody said that. Nobody
Did you
said
feel dirty afterwards?
that. It was it was a dirty experience. It really was.
That's just got to be a weird one, because
Yeah.
you just don't know what she's going to throw at you.
No, and I didn't. I tried to be the not the bad guest because I didn't want her to cut me off. But all of my answers were, no, that's not what happened. What really happened. And then when she starts to talk over you, you just have to keep talking. Don't yell, just keep talking. And then she would finally be quiet and let you finish. So, but that's just this voice. But that's one of those. We had this conversation this past week with law enforcement. When cops get on a stand, they're very polite to the state and they want to argue with defense. No, just stay the same with everybody. Professional, straight through with everybody, and that at least gets you the respect of the jury for being, respectful. If you fight, then, I don't know. Yes, I understand the way that the law works, but the opposition of the defense versus the state doesn't mean that you have to, be talked down to them in any way, or give them a cold shoulder.
Okay, do we have more questions? We've got a few minutes here. Hold on.
Hi, Rich from San Diego. What's been your experience with the other stations other than Fox? Has it just been no response at all, or
No, we don't. Sorry, we don't talk to pro gun people. And no matter what, we're not going to. No pro gun, no pro gun. I've talked to one or two of the GMs outside, and they're like, "Listen, we're not allowed to have a personal opinion here, so we're just not doing it."
Oh, so the station says that they don't talk to pro-gun people.
Correct.
And so you don't get an opportunity.
Correct.
Okay. There for a
Correct.
minute I misunderstood
Yeah.
how your answer was. I was like, okay, now I got it.
Yep.
Sorry. I was a little slow on the uptake there. Another question? Nikki.
So, following up on that last statement, if you've got stations that are saying we will not talk to pro-gun, it would seem to me that maybe what all of us should consider doing is going to those stations, having them then say no, then say, okay, fine, now we're going to talk to your advertisers and let your advertisers know that since you are silencing us, that we're going to silence them with our money until the station changes policy.
Which sounds wonderful, except your ABC, CBS, and NBC don't go to Joe's Bucks store to get advertising money. They're already advertising with the people that are anti-gun and the liberal left. So it's trying to find a pro-gun advertiser on an ABC station to go let's grab the picket signs. They're few and far in between. If they're there, Nikki, let's go. I'll stand next to you with the sign.
But we're also trying to teach media here, not advocacy. I mean,
Right.
and it is different. I mean, our goal is education, and so advocacy. There are things that you can do to be an advocate,
Right.
and how that works.
Yep.
But you don't necessarily, as trying to get your word out, push it, because it's if you start an argument with someone with it's the principle of the thing, you've already lost.
Yes.
And in this case, you're trying to say, I want to get out and I want to educate. So you go to somebody who's
Correct.
either friendly or who's neutral to you,
Right.
because then
Right.
you can sway them. But if they're anti to you, you're never going to gain ground.
Yes. Yes, sir. Mr. Morse.
There is a media bias. You've seen it.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
That when I've been on shows and I've thanked the host. Thank you so much for covering this topic,
Yeah.
because other stations have shunned it. They're only telling half the story. I really appreciate how you're giving your listeners
Yeah.
the full background so that they understand it completely,
Yeah.
and they go, "Dang, look at me."
Yep.
So yeah, you can. It plays.
When you've done a radio program, because even if you've got a radio program that you've been a guest on, and there's 3 or 4 people in the room that are pro-gun and one that's not, they're going to try and take that shot at you, whether it's radio or whether it's TV. At the end of it, just as Rob said, be gracious. Don't get into the argument. Oh, listen, I just want to thank you guys for being here and letting me give me this opportunity. Look forward to seeing you guys again. Yeah, wonderful. It's kind of like what was it, the old the Bugs Bunny one, where they would fight and chase each other all day long, and then at the end of the day they just punch out, clock out. Do that. Do that. You just clock out at the end of it. Hey, thanks. No, it's been a pleasure being here, and I'd look forward to being back and talking some more with you about this. Don't argue with them. That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Anybody
Questions?
else?
Anyone else? Where'd Yehuda go?
He left the room. Oh, he's back there.
I do have.
You've got a backup topic?
I do.
You've got
Sure.
10 minutes. So you either fill out that backup topic or we go to the bathroom.
I got. It's up to them.
Fill the backup topic,
Okay.
because they can get their bathroom break later.
Okay. All
They're
right.
here for content, and you've got it.
How to make money in radio. All right. How do you sell your radio? There you go. So sell all your gear. Yeah. I've been in radio for 7 years. We were lucky enough where we got a decent sponsor first off, but it was more based on personal relationship because of having the gun store and doing a lot of work with the company. So that kind of it helped us get on our feet a little bit, but it's been a struggle every day since then trying to find sponsors. Listen, if I could go out and find the big sponsors, I'd be on 250 stations just like Mr. Walters is, but otherwise I hover at 25 because that's the time and effort I have to put into it. I did everything. We went to all of the SHOT shows, we went to all of the NRA shows, and we did all of the talking with the officials, trying to make the appointments, with all the bosses from all of the big corporations, all of the small corporations. A lot of the small ones, yes, sir. Yep.
I'm running.
How you doing?
Hey.
Peter Estrada from Connecticut. So when you say you're on 25 affiliates, right, and that's all the time you have for that, what do you mean by that?
I thank you. Right, I'm on 25 stations. 12 of them are regularly scheduled programs where it's either one we're live on Saturdays, Eastern 3 to 5, or they use us throughout the week. And it's it's afternoon or evening shows during the week. They put us in for 2 hours after a Glenn Beck or somebody like that when they have the time. The other 12 or 13 stations were overnight filler. The sports program ended, put them on after that. But the reason we're at 25 is because I have a full-time job. I've got 2 full-time jobs, so I don't. Go ahead.
Sorry. So what's the extra work? So what does it require of you?
Okay.
So it's not like
sure.
Whatever
No,
the program
yes.
is, they recorded it, and are they posting it, or does it require you to do something else?
Sure. The way most 90% of radio works. Help me out here, Amanda, Cheryl, if I'm wrong. What your experience has been. If you're a host on a radio show, you hear your local DJ, he's the great afternoon guy or the morning drive guy. That guy probably makes $50,000 a year, at least. And he makes below average salary or just about average salary. The radio station goes out because he's popular. It's just like any sales. They go out because he's popular and they try and sell advertising during his program because he brings in the big ratings. The stations or the media conglomerates, the iHearts, the Clear Channels, they own that guy. They own that program. I have my own program, an independent program, where I pay one access fee to get a producer to send my product up to the satellite so other radio stations can pull it down. So I pay a small fee, but I'm not a paid radio guy. I pay for a satellite fee is what I pay for, because you can't just internet to the satellite. It's got to go through a station's giant dishes on the top of their buildings. And getting that paid for is the advertising. What I'm talking about. If I own my program, I walk into the station, they say, we're not going to pay you, you pay us. And I'm like, I'm not paying you. Listen, I pull 70 to 100,000 people listening a week. I'm not paying to be on your radio station. In fact, if you want, I'll split the commercial time with you. So you keep half of it and you sell it because I'm popular, and I'll take the other half and I sell it. My problem is that my full-time employment keeps me from going out and pretending to be a salesman to try and fill that other airtime. So a lot of that other airtime, we just end up running, hey, listen, Yehuda's got a store, just run his stuff. He's a friend. So you get a lot of commercials on our stuff that are just, we don't have time to go out. Now, you can go from station to station across the country and say, and here's the same deal. Listen, here's my ratings, here's my book, here's my downloads per week, here's my podcast listens per week, here's my listeners per week on the actual radio stations, and they'll say, okay, yeah, we like you. We want you to pay us. Nope, not going to pay you. Here's the deal. I'll split the inventory with you, is what the term is.
Right. So if you think about it like the red box, I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Is Mike produces a show or I produce a show and it's got a clock on it, and the clock has got content and then it's got advertisers, and some of them are national advertisers and some of them are local. Yeah. So if you listen to Mike Gallagher or you listen to any Rush or any of those guys, you'll hear a national ad and then you'll hear a local, the pizza shop down the road. The national ones belong to the host, to the guy who does the show, and the local ones belong to the radio station. Right. So what happens is Mike produces a show and he pays a fee to send it to the red box. The people that allow him to pay the money, literally, you have to get in queue to be allowed to pay the money to get into the red box. They want a wide variety of shows that are well produced, so that when their radio stations pay them a fee to go access the library at the red box, that there is something for everybody and there's something for them. So they're making sure that they have professional content that's available. And so you pay the satellite, the radio station pays the satellite, and the only transaction, there is no financial transaction between you and the radio station. It's You sell your ads, and they sell the ads, and that's
Yep.
how it works. As simple as it is.
Yep.
I'm going to go to John first, and then.
Yeah, just a real quick follow-up question to that. Is there one access fee that you pay, and then all the radio stations can get to you from that one access fee?
Yeah,
Or is
can-
it separate for every station, and you're paying 25 stations to be there?
I pay one access fee to upload to the satellite system, and it's odd because I'll get and it happened again this weekend at a USCCA or an area. When we go on the road, I'll hear somebody will come up and go, "Oh man, we love you guys. We listen to you in Lubbock, Texas, every week." I'm like, "Oh, well, we're not on in Lubbock. You download the podcast afterwards? Are you doing the online listen?" "No, you were on 1100 a.m. in Lubbock. You come on at 1:00 in the morning on Saturdays." We have no idea. They can't even track that for us.
Which
Which
network are you carried by?
Salem.
You're Salem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll tell when I meet those people, I'm like, well, tell me what radio station, and now we on the air, we say, if you're on in your market, contact us because we want to be on in your market more. Because a lot of radio stations think we're going to come in and be a butthead and go, you owe us money for airing our stations. No, what I'm going to do is send you T-shirts and patches and stickers so you can make us more popular in your market so you can get better advertising rates for me and I can get better advertising rates for me.
And the other thing that Mike's going to do is track those numbers of listeners for that station.
Yeah.
So that when he's doing his numbers, he doesn't say I've got 70,000 listeners. He says I have 100 because he didn't count Lubbock before
Yep,
that.
exactly.
And he needs to count every station that he's being carried with.
I've already got a microphone. I don't need you to run down here, but
Okay,
I've got
we
a
only have
question.
2 minutes, and I've
I
got two
know.
other people, so
I've got a
speed
clock
it up.
right here. Is Arbitron still a thing? And
No.
do you track that?
Yeah, yes, but most stations refuse to use Arbitron because it costs so much these days. Because of what they have in their own digital downloads and online stuff, it's easier for. This is at least what iHeart tells me.
Yeah,
that they
and their
don't-
data sucks is the other part of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I was down recently, and I drove across the country. I was getting local ads spliced into this podcast. It knew where loaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what that's called? Do you know how that works?
Black magic? I don't know. It's just internet nonsense.
Pod Magic.
yeah.
I've not heard that. That's
no, I've
cool.
had heard of that before. And you know who does that is USCCA. They're masters at that kind of stuff. Now that we've talked about it here, it's all going to be on our phone before we go to the bathroom. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, you kind of answered it a bit. Why can't they give you the data?
Because they don't subscribe to Arbitron. They want to
That's
go with their
the only
own.
method.
They want to go with their internal download numbers, and they have the projections that they have.
And last question: when you said you got to split the ad time, like the sales, can't you work out a negotiation with them where you split your portion of the ad, or they don't do that?
When I first make contact with the station, yeah, we'll come up with how much ad time they own versus how much ad time I own.
No,
but then
meaning they sell it and they just split. They
no,
they don't do
they're not
anything
going to
like
sell
that.
for you. They're not going to sell
Not
for you.
even
Yeah,
no sort of
yeah,
deal.
no. I will say this, and I know I got 1 minute left. When you go to these big events, the NRA, you go to the USCCA's, we hand out our packet, our promos. We meet with a lot of people, and that gets probably a 10% return when we do it. I get a booth. We set up on Radio Row. When more people come to us, product reviews, get your product reviews. A lot of product reviews, good product reviews, will turn into advertising, and then beyond that, and I know it's not what everybody wants to hear, but go out with your advertisers or your potential advertisers when they want to go to dinner at 9 o'clock at night and keep you out till 1 in the morning when you got to be here at 8:30 in the morning. And I re-signed another deal last night at after midnight. It seems like all of our deals come after midnight. The big shows are where you meet people, but dinner and drinks afterward is where you close the deals. So don't be afraid. Don't just lock yourself down to 8 to 5 on the show floor.
That's it, because the key is close the deal. Good. Mike, this was wonderful. Very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
So, okay, a little bit of housekeeping before we flip on to Shelley Hill. So the housekeeping, because I'm going off schedule. Yehuda is getting bumped. Shelley Hill is coming on because she's building a new house, and there's some house building things going on. So, black tie guns. Stand up, please. So this gentleman right there, give him a hand. He's giving I'm not going to be like Oprah and say he's giving you a gun and you a gun and you a gun. No, he's giving someone that is here, someone that has been here over the course of this weekend, a gun. And it is right here. Yehuda's modeling it like Vanna White. And so you need to make sure that you've checked in with Susan and she has all of your information. If you have not, you are not in the drawing. Well, okay, you guys can all skip it because I have checked in with Susan and I am in the drawing. And so if you increase my odds, that'll be so much better. But please, that's the housekeeping. Please check in. And thank you very much for that. That is an amazingly generous thing that you did for us. Let me introduce you to Shelley Hill. Shelley Hill's amazing. If you don't know who Shelley Hill is, look her up. She is hysterically funny. She is amazing. And there's all kinds of other stuff, but I just want you to know that part of it. She is the co-owner, XO, and instructor of The Complete Combatant. She is an HK brand ambassador, an active self-protection certified instructor, Modern Samurai Project Red Dot instructor, NRA certified instructor, certified NRA chief range safety officer, refused to be a victim instructor, is a certified OC pepper spray instructor, and just a licensed badass is what she is. So she is the designer and mastermind behind image-based decisional drills. So look that up, because here's the deal: is she's going to tell you kind of what led up to that, how people learn, why they learn, and the things that she's learned from it. So we're going to learn from Shelley as she has learned from others. So take it away, Shelley Hill. We can't hear you, darling. Check your volume. Are you muted? Okay. So there's Shelley Hill freaking out. So you guys can see Shelley Hill in the freak out mode at the same time with really good hair while she's freaking out. This leads back to this morning's presentation where it's like, okay, I think I got everything working. Everything's working until technology throws you for a loop. And that's what it does. Nope, she's still mute. Any luck on your side? We should have her loud and clear. So we can hear her, or I'm echoing back through her mic. So are you sure your mic is working, darling? Yeah? Well, talk. Now speak. Sorry, Ubu, speak. Okay, this is how you do that whole hand signal thing, right? Okay, she's gone. Pardon? She's going to get some decisional drill cards, and instead of speaking, we're all going to do pictures because that is so much better. So one of the things that Shelley does while she's trying to get her mic working is Shelley also is the host of the Mingle. So she had gone to, I think it was SHOT Show, and they were doing a women's event off to the side, and she was like, that is so great. All these women are networking, and they're talking to each other, and they're kibitzing, and I think I need to do that. So she brought that back to Georgia and started to do that. So it's a 2-day event. One is mingling, the second day is shooting, and so it's the shooting mingle, the mingling shooter. And the cool part is there's training, there's education, there's networking, and it's all together, one thing after another. Speak now, Shell. No? Look. Okay, now. Cool. I'm like in the bottom of the barrel, when the motorcycle goes around and around in the big barrel. So why don't you log out and log right back in and see if that'll work? Okay. Because technology, if you're an automotive engineer, there is a car breaks and you fix it. If you're an IT engineer, think of an IT engineer as an automotive engineer. That's fine, your car doesn't run. Have you tried opening the windows and then closing the windows and then seeing if the car will run from there? Because that is exactly how the IT people think about technology as opposed to the automotive people thinking about technology. That's how Volkswagen works too. Open the window, close the window. So, okay, so Mike Piwowarski. You just keep saying that, but no, I don't have it. I'm butchering it. Mike, the beer guy. I'll just stick with that. So what was the best thing that you guys got out of Mike's presentation, since Mike's sitting here and we can make his head get big? You can make a little money with radio. Dan? If you work really hard, you can make a little bit of money. Dan, the resume was really good, the bullet points of all of the stuff that you did, so that he gave you permission. We've got a lot of stuff we do that we don't acknowledge. He's given us permission to brag about ourselves so our mother doesn't have to do it for us, right? I think that was really, I got a lot out of that, and so I started making notes of where I've spoken, where, and that type of a thing, because I think that makes it easy. I'm going to use that in a week and a half at the summit to teach those girls too.
Hello?
Okay, wait, we hear something. Speak.
Hello?
Okay, I'm turning my mic on.
Can you guys hear me? Hello? Yes. Do I No problem. I moved my appointment. We're fine. You're fine. I moved my appointment. Hello? Hello? Okay. Yes, sir. Hello. 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Check. Test 1, 2. Audio check. Audio test 1, 2.
No, sir. I heard you in the background. And I can talk a little louder. You know me. And I will. I'll say, Paul, I'm ready. And then you can move it. Okay. Excellent. Unless someone stops me, I'm going to go on. Hi, my name's Shelley, and this is Successful Marketing. And its images are more powerful than words. Flip, Paul. I've already got an intro from Miss Amanda, but I'm Shelley with The Complete Combatant, and I'm the one that came up with image-based decisional drills and Smart Choices image cards. You can flip, Paul. And I'm going to move kind of quick on this since we're a little short on time. I'm dyslexic. And what that means is dyslexia is a learning disorder that can affect your ability to read, to spell, to write, to work with numbers, and to even speak. I don't learn through the normal way, which is maybe books and reading and writing and lectures and all that other kind of good stuff without images. So I learn more from hands-on and images. Paul, you can flip. I'm going to start off right off the bat with a couple experiments. I'm going to spend a few minutes describing an image in detail. Everyone, try to imagine what I'm describing. Feel free to close your eyes as I talk, but try to really think about what I'm describing. Picture a bedroom with taupe walls and a queen-size bed that's facing you. There's a small wooden table on each side of the bed. The bedding and the headboard are both a cream color. The bed is made, but the pillows look like they were just tossed on the bed. The floor is wood, and there's a red and gold floral rug underneath the bed. There's a picture above the bed that has white flowers, green leaves, and it's in a gray frame. Wow, that's about 2 minutes. Paul, you can flip for me. That took me, like I said, roughly 2 minutes. Now, look at the image for roughly 10 seconds. You can get that same information in a shorter period of time. And because it's an image, it's now stored in your short-term memory. And when I was doing this presentation, and I tried this out on a few people, truthfully, I lost most people on the third or fourth demand to try to picture it because how boring was that? I lost them. But with a visual, everything I just said that took so long, you can now see it and understand it quicker. And what I'm about to talk about is not my opinion. It's all science, and there's cited sources, so on and so forth. Hey, Paul, will you flip? We're going to do another one. Now you kind of know what to expect, so most people are paying a little bit closer so they don't fail this one, right? So pay attention. Picture a box of candy that is shaped like a heart, and it has a blue background. The box is red, with red and white bow going across the top of the box. The lid is open, so you could see the assortment of chocolates. The candy comes in many different shapes and sizes. They look to be covered in different flavors. There's dark chocolate, there's milk chocolate, and it looks like even caramel-colored chocolates. Some of these chocolates have been decorated on the top with sprinkles and different color icing and nuts. None of the candy is missing. Paul? So here we go again. I spent a little less period of time because you knew what to expect. But nonetheless, I had to take that time to verbally tell you guys as much detail as possible, where if I was to just put an image on a screen, that same information would have been there without taking the extra time. And once again, images are stored in your long-term memory. Hey, Paul? Now we'll get into the good stuff. Feel free, guys, if you want to take a picture of any of the slides, feel free to do that or make notes. It's completely your call. A large body of research indicates that visual cues help us to better retrieve and remember information. The research outcomes of visual learning makes complete sense because you have to consider that your brain is mainly an image processor, which sensory cortex is what it's called, and it's devoted to vision. Our brain is not devoted as a word processor. It's an image processor. In fact, the part of the brain that is used to process words is very, very small in comparison to the part of the brain that's used to process images. Your brain finds that words are actually abstract and they're rather difficult. It's rather difficult for the brain to retain all of that. There's so much other processing going on. But visuals are proven to be more concrete and easily remembered. Paul? Based on research outcomes, the effective use of visuals can decrease learning time, improve comprehension, enhance retrieval, increase retention. Guys, I don't know what part of your life that all four of those are not beneficial, especially in marketing. There are many testimonials that support the benefits of learning through visuals. By retrieving a visual cue, it's presented on pages of a book. Think about all the children's books, how colorful and full of images they are to help them learn. Add these images in a promotional item on flashcards, where you see the image-based decisional drills or the smart choices, or on slides of a lecture, like this here on a presentation. The learner or the customer is able to more accurately retrieve the content associated with the visual. And when Paul and I were talking about this earlier, about options on when I do this presentation, I told him, I am not the important one. I am going to give the information, but what's more important is the visual, is the slides themselves. That's the engagement, is to have the visual so you understand how this works. You can flip, Paul. Excellent. Images are very powerful motivators, and it can encourage the reader to engage in the content more. And once again, I'm not reinventing the wheel, guys. It's just research on benefits for the smart choices and for the image-based decisional drills, and it's kind of spilled over. So all of this information can be found on our website, and I'll give you that information as well. Understanding how and which visuals can help you accomplish your marketing goals. You can't just throw up one visual when it doesn't match what your marketing goals are because it feels right. It's got to truly match so you make the right choices for your site, so we can result in positive growth for your organization. And you can look at this slide and see success, innovation, venture, sales. All of that comes together. You have to think about all of that when you're going to put an image with some sort of marketing or posts for social media, even for yourself on a personal level. I mean, you're representing all the time, right? you can flip for me. So why are visuals important in marketing? The human brain can process visuals up to 60,000 times faster than text. Considering that the written word has only been around for a small part of our human evolution, once again, it makes sense. We're talking about the size of the part of the brain that is the visual cortex as opposed to the size of the brain that is in the written word, right? So it absolutely makes complete sense that visions are much more powerful. When it comes to marketing, this means that the content created with these visuals is naturally more engaging and interesting to others. So we get our tweets. Let's talk about this because I thought this was a cool one. Tweets with images, and it could be Facebook, whatever. It's just this is the information I found that I wanted to put out, so I don't want to change any of the information. So tweets with images, for example, receive up to 5 times more engagement than those without. And then there's a little part that doesn't make it on my slide here, but also articles with visuals receive 94% more views. It is clear that customers like visuals and prefer the content that contains them. Paul, flip. Perfect. Almost 2/3 of the population affirms to be visual learners, and it is proven that adding images to accompany information increases people's retention of this said information in their memory. And what we're looking at is after 3 days, if you don't have an image associated with what you're interested in getting out there, it's only 10% after 3 days. With an image, that's huge, guys. That's huge. And this reflects greatly on customers' behavior, which of course impacts directly on the e-commerce, business, online business, and online marketing. I mean, that's the whole reason that we're there, and it could be for marketing a podcast or a book or whatever. It's you're once again representing everything you do. 60% of users said they are more likely to contact a business if they have an image showing up in research results in addition to their contact information. That means a photo, a logo, something. 63% of users consider the product image to be more relevant than actually the written word or the description of it. 67% of users judged the product based on the quality of the image when they were deciding what to purchase. That one freaked me out a bit. Quality of the image. So let's go to Facebook. This one here is on Facebook, 20% more engagement than even videos with the images, which is absolutely astounding. Are you ready for this number? 352% more engagement. 352% more engagement on Facebook, social media, so on and so forth. This one's Facebook. Just by adding a video, just by adding a photo and not just putting a link alone. Paul? So I've rattled off a bunch of stuff, and once again, my time management, I'm going to try to stay on time here since we had some audio issues, but so I'm just kind of going through this here. But if you have any questions, please get with me afterwards. Selecting the right image for your content doesn't have to be a challenge. I got a lot of people like, well, that's not in me or not artistic. Just get the right people, guys. Here are a few guidelines to help you to make the right choice, but it's really not as difficult as it sounds. It can be actually kind of easy. So think about these things. These are your bullet points. What stories are you trying to communicate to your audience? So first of all, we got to think about that. What type of image could draw people further to that content? What image would fit well with your brand? What platform of marketing do you get the biggest bang for your buck? Everybody's different, guys. You have to think about what works for you. And then never ever forget, who or what is your target market? So that's what we have to think about when we're about to pick an image that may go with something that we want to put out there that is in writing. Hey, Paul? Excellent. Speak to the viewers' primal desires, so you don't have to try to fix everything all at once. We just need to get them interested, and the primal desires is very effective. So how does that work? The key to use images that represent the content to their primary emotions. So that means longing, curiosity, joy, that type of thing. We stay away from anything negative. So I chose this image here. This just brings me joy. This could be so many things in marketing, so many things. But I looked at that image and I just found pure joy in communication with these young children, possibly learning, sharing an inside joke, who knows? But that was joy to me. You want the concept to be much more, you want the concept to be not so much about your actions or abstract ideas. That's, once again, you're going down the rabbit hole, but more about the concrete and identifiable emotions. That goes back. Hey, Paul, I think we flipped to another slide there. There we go. Thank you. So that goes back to that image once again. That is concrete, probably to you guys as well, that you see joy and communication and camaraderie and sharing. So that image is something that it has a well-rounded type of primal desire, right? So it's more concrete. All right, Paul, we can flip now. So you want to tie your images to your brand. Once again, how? Think long and hard and deep about the keywords that better define your company, that identify the demographics that you're aiming at, and what image you want to project overall. So, are you a serious company? Is it a friendly brand? Are you traditional? Are you innovative? What is your client base? Are you thinking about the Gen X's or the millennials, right? Or the Gen Z's? You have to think about that. Where Brian and I, once again, we are a training company and we are the complete combatant. And we decided to do something a little quirky outside the box, and we are the complete combat ant. That's where our logo comes from. We're a complete combat ant, which is the complete combatant. So we tied that together. So, you know, once again, you have to think about who you are and what you want to project. The answers to these questions will guide you, and once you have a nice concrete list of the things that I just talked about that you want to portray, the style of images to choose should be more obvious. Once again, with us, because we have the ant, and my personality is kind of out there, it's easy for me. I can choose a serious image, I can choose a funny image, it can be very colorful, or it can be black and white, because that's what we project. So you have to think about what works for you guys and what your goal is. Paul? Excellent. Define a tone and goal through your images. Once again, let's go to the how. Start by analyzing what your design or what you want your design to say. You need to think about knowing whether you want to project an image that, once again, is full of trustworthiness or fun or friendliness or professionalism. All of these will be a guideline to search for the photos or the images that will represent that information that you want to put out there. So once again, you have to think about that the emotions and the ideas that you intend for the people that see this. Once again, try to stay away from anything negative. Even if it's something that is a controversial subject, maybe go with a word that says why, or are we informed, or something like that, as opposed to an actual image of a person frowning. So once again, we have to think those primal emotions. Curiosity is a primal emotion, which would be just as beneficial to put something that makes someone curious to read, as opposed to seeing anger. I hope that makes sense. It's hard because I can't see you guys. So I don't know where I'm at with this as far as feedback. I can't read you guys. So I hope this is flowing nicely for you guys. We can flip, Paul. Thank you. Be trendy. Be today. Just because it worked 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, guys, it doesn't work today. We are ever changing. Our brains are ever changing. There's so much information out there. Stay in it. Stay ahead of it if you can. How? Stay in the loop. Make use of the many resources on the web that offers informed, hot visual content, anything that's right now. Select the trends and themes that you think fits with your goals. A quick story, Rachel's Rest. That is a nonprofit that was started roughly 8 years ago for sexually abused women and children, and I was one of the founders. I built the website. Well, what I did is every 2 or 3 years, I went on to Make-A-Wish or the Cancer Foundation or any of that type of thing that was another nonprofit that was high profile, and all I did was copy what they had. If they had a big banner that was colorful, then that's what I made sure I had. Because they spent all the time and millions of dollars on the resources for marketing. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I went to them, found what they were doing, and made sure the website was up to being hot or recent. You can go, Paul. I forget. Color me compelling. Once again, how? Exploit the psychological and aesthetical conclusions about color. You know what? Once again, color is proven. They've done all the statistics. Let's just figure out what works for our brand and not reinvent the wheel. For example, it is true that warmer colors are a better fit for concepts, and colder hues are more consistent with serious and professional images. For example, purple does invoke sophistication, and red does trigger excitement. But the key is for you guys to figure out what colors match your brand with the visuals. Once again, we established early on that I don't want to be in a box of colors. I want to be the world of colors, right? I want to put whatever images works with that particular post. So I'm not so much in the box with that, but there are several people out there that the colors, the warmth, the excitement does matter. So figure out what works for you. Paul? Stay unique. Once again, how? Do your research. This goes back to the Rachel's Rest thing. Look around. See what other company and brands are doing. While you can grab that inspiration like I did from them, which is the big banner or the bold writing here and the small font here, or they're using one font throughout the whole entire website, anything like that is what I'm looking for. Then grab from them because it obviously works. But please, 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 please do not take everything, right? We want to avoid creating something that's too similar because we want it to be you. You could follow someone that's bigger and brighter. That's awesome. But you've got to stay unique to who you are. So what I would suggest is, once again, go back to the picking the images and such, that it's not that much of a challenge. Pick some friends, pick teammates, people that you've surrounded yourself in your professional career, and ask them to dive into this and maybe come up with some one-of-a-kind ideas, visuals that you guys want to stick with for your particular posts. Once again, I'm not talking logos. I'm talking matching something that you've already got out there. Okay, Paul? Here we go. Now we want to know, well, what do I do? What types of images should I actually use for my content? There are three main types of images, guys, out there. There are, and each one of these can represent your posts, right, your information, and obviously enhance. The three main is infographics, pictures, and videos. Okay, Paul? Thank you, sir. Infographics. These images present a visual story that can help you articulate statistics, data, so on and so forth. I don't want to run too far behind, guys, so I'm going to pick this up just a hair, and I won't be so in detail, but I need for you to feel free to take a picture, or after we're done with this, ask me for my slides. I'll be more than happy to just send them to you. Okay, guys? Paul? Pictures, particularly those pictures that of real customers, personal and products. You can customize these images, but pictures help people feel connected to your organization. So if you look at that one, we don't know what they're selling, but we know they're happy, and I want to pet the dog. I want to be snuggled in on a fall day, and I want some coffee. So all of this, you don't know where they're at, camping, whatever, but it just, once again, it makes you connected to them. Paul? I love it. The next one, and we're almost done here, so I'm trying to go fast. Videos, that's the other one. And videos are quickly becoming the preferred type of content. If you follow our Facebook page or our stuff, you'll see that I'm trying very hard to get more videos out there, either of Brian or myself. It's just, once again, that's becoming a little bit, it's just putting the photos and the images in the running. We're getting there. If they're crafted correctly, they are addictive. You look at the TikTok, people are using it, man. They think it's a blast. So consider videos. But marketing through videos gives the business an opportunity to quickly showcase an important feature. Once again, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with this, but if you have a spunky voice or you've got fun graphics, engaging music, stylistic pictures, all of that stuff is what would be important. Paul? Got it. How many visuals should I include in my content? Guys, there's no set formula to deciding how many visuals you should include. But there are guidelines that can help you make the decision on if it's the right material to have several different images. Do my pictures complement my content? Do my pictures add to the message I'm trying to convey? Do I have a picture near to the beginning of this information that draws the person in. And do my images align with my brand identity? Flip. In closing, once again, I went through this pretty quick. We probably don't have time for Q&A. I really mean that. If somebody wants to email me and have the full presentation, or just a specific slide or something, just let me know. I'll just email it to you, and that would be absolutely awesome. Thank you, AmCon, as always. Thank you guys for attending. Once again, these are not necessarily any of my opinions. This is what I've seen that works tried and true. And since I've been dyslexic since day one, I know images work. I know it. I know it. So I've been able to bring my experience in and finally admitting that I have a disorder with learning and figuring out how to work with it. And it's taken me years to do that. So I'd like to thank, it's called Stock Photo Secrets, Bright Edge, Marketing 91, Sendable, Emroy, and there's some other sources of information that that they offer this information freely online. So I've cited sources. I just want you guys to know that you can find this information on the internet. I have learned a ton from them and more over the years. I can be reached at thecompletecombatant@gmail.com, and my websites are thecompletecombatant.com, imagebaseddecisionaldrills.com, and smartchoicesimagecard's.com. I'm out. How did we do?
You did good. Thanks, Shelley. Thank you so much. So, those of you who want Shelley's slides, we can arrange that. Or if you, since it is a video, that the video is now saved, you can just freeze, read, move on. So you've got that too. But you can find her on Facebook. She's very active there. Plus at The Complete Combatant. So the amazing Shelley Hill. Thanks, Shelley. Okay, we're going to take a quick. We're going to move to the bathroom break, and then when we come back, then Yehuda will be up. So am I giving him 10 minutes?